up a minute. Just because we had the right to vote didn't mean we could use it. See, all these new voters wanted to participate, which threatened the people in power and their ability to stay in power. So they tried to stop us with violence and shady new requirements like literacy tests and poll taxes. We had to fight for nearly 100 years before the Voting Rights Act passed, which finally outlawed these dirty tricks.
And you weren't the only ones that had to fight for your right to vote. Somehow women got left out and had to organize and fight state by state, until we took our fight to Washington and finally got our right to vote all across the country. And even once the laws guaranteed every person the ability to vote, you still had to be 21 in most states. So when our government began drafting people under 21 to go fight in Vietnam, they realized their lives were at stake and they had no say. Young people all across the country rose up in protest and demanded that everyone over 18 should be allowed to vote.
And since then, young people's votes have been crucial in deciding lots of big elections. Like in 2008, when a black candidate had a real chance to become president, young people showed up in record numbers. And every year, we make up a larger share of the voting population, giving young people more power, but only if we participate.
So let me break it down. Together, there is so much we can decide, like whether or not we should go to war, or how we spend our money, and how we power our lives.
We've been through a lot together. But we've known tough times before. What carries us through and helps us endure? What are the qualities so essential to us and the leaders who have occupied this office?
He did some things knowing that they wouldn't be popular in the short run that would lay the foundation for recovery. No other country in the world would give up the capacity to manufacture cars if it had it. And so he did what the government's supposed to do in a case like that.
Do not rescue the automobile industry. I mean, it was overwhelming. Look at the polling number.
A country in the midst of a financial crisis that no one really, knew the depths of the challenges that were coming. I think he had a sense.
My grandparents came out of the Depression. They knew what it was like for people not to have work. We all understand work as something more than just a paycheck. What gives you dignity? It gives you a sense of purpose.
He said, you guys got to work together and come up, and everybody's got to have some skin in the game here. You got to have a give up. You got to modernize the automobile industry.
Everybody said, it's never going to work. Well, guess what?
80,000 more people working in the car business than we did before the restructuring was passed.
They're middle-class jobs. People can raise a family on a decent wage.
We've gone from an economy that was shedding jobs to one that's consistently creating jobs at all sectors.
I'm a guy who believes in the vision of the Founding Fathers. I believe this is the land of opportunity. I believe that if we restore the principle of opportunity and hope and give everyone a fair chance, you're going to see this country come roaring back.
You can never predict what kind of tough decisions are going to come in front of a president's desk. And if you really want to know how a person will operate, Look at how they've lived their life.
They were asking me about what's going on with, with what happened with the scandal and what my opinion is of if we can pull this thing off. And I said, yeah, it's gonna be just fine. And they said, how do you know? And I said, because I just met Mitt Romney.
Every night, he's up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning with his big stack of briefing books, and he reads the letters he gets from people all over America. They are, as he put it, some of the most informative pieces of material that he gets that keeps him grounded. And anyone who has kids know that the truth is, no matter what you do, your kids still think that they are the most important people in the room. So we sit around the dinner table, and he's the last person to be asked, oh yeah, how was your day, Dad? I mean, really, he's an afterthought.
He never starts a conversation by saying, what's the best political decision here? What'll help us the most? Never.
So he wasn't gonna back out just because it got hard, just because it didn't poll well. That's just never been who he is, and it's certainly not how he will ever govern this country.
When my mom got cancer, she wasn't a wealthy woman, and it pretty much drained all her resources.
Watching your mother die of something that could have been prevented, that's a tough thing to deal with.
The reason he pushed ahead, knowing that there could be horrible political consequences for him, just as there were for me, is that healthcare costs have gone up 3 times the rate of inflation. This is a huge economic issue because we spend 17.5% of our income on healthcare.
Anybody who gets medical care, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine working class mom opening up that kind of bill, with somebody sending that to her with a straight face. That understanding of that kind of reality for millions of Americans drove him to make sure that this legislation got passed. It takes a conscious effort to stay connected with what's going on in people's lives.
From women's suffrage to civil rights
to ending wars,
young people altered our country's course.
They organized, marched, registered,
and voted.
United,
they initiated change.
They left their legacy. Over 22 states
are considering laws
that would condone racial profiling
under the guise of immigration reform,
eroding our rights,
attacking our values.
Take history's lesson.
Today,
we need a united voice
to demand solutions
to our country's toughest problems:
energy,
jobs,
immigration,
education,
and national security.
Register,
vote,
live your legacy.
We are
the United
Faces
of America. United,
we win.